class was divided into groups, and they each went to the poster boards. And in each poster board, there was a short reading and a task to be completed based on this information. And the students spoke about the information, discussed the topic, and then moved on to the next activity. So the class moved around from activity to activity. They, at that point, were ready for the reading. Now they've had all this communication going on, they've got the vocabulary, they're engaged with the topic, then they moved on to the reading. And this is what the reading looked like. Again, it's authentic. At the higher levels, we're leading kids towards authenticity. And the students were ready to discuss this. They would have questions that followed up, they would have further discussion, they might have summaries to write. There were many different things that could be done with this. I was told to keep it to half an hour, so I didn't go into that, but there was a lot more to this lesson. Now, I wanted to show one of the things that we have also done. We deal with what's happening in the world today. This was a pre-AP lesson, and this lesson deals with what's happening in Venezuela. It was the 11th grade class that talked about this, and we didn't go right into a video. First we talked about, what do you know? What have you watched in the news? Nothing was the answer. Nothing was the answer. And of course that led us into a later discussion as to why. But we'll put that to the side. So before we began this, we did pull out some vocabulary that was essential to understanding this topic. We did go to the computer lab and have kids look up information as to what's happening. This was the pre-AP level, English, Spanish, it didn't matter. Get knowledge as to what's happening in this area of the world. Came back into the classroom, we pulled out some vocabulary, and we discussed we began with one facet of it, because this is monumental. What's happening there is so, this can go on for a year of us discussing this. So we pulled out one topic, and we decided to do it with this video, which maybe is not going to work. Or maybe it is. Oh, look at that. And it's from CNN and Vivo. And the question in this video that I found was, ¿qué es el fascismo? What is fascism? Maduro, Nicolás Maduro, who is the president currently in Venezuela, is calling his opposition fascist. So CNN decided to define fascism. It's like a Spanish lesson made for us. So we played the video. Nope, we did not play the video. But we did play the video, I promise you we did. And we discussed the reading that went with that video. The vocabulary that had been pulled out was for that reading. I would love to go back to my PowerPoint. I've never seen a speaker needs more technical help than I do. There we go, thank you. And in doing our vocabulary, by the way, I just want to point out things such as this. Acepción peyorativa. So I told the kids, obviously that's pejorative. Clearly. And they looked at me like, excuse me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's your language. Has anybody heard of common core? So, yes, our English language skills, and I teach them an SAT word of the day. In my classroom, I teach an SAT word of the day. I give them the word, something like pejorative, and they have to explain it in Spanish. So then they learn the word in English, they learn the word in Spanish, and so go on. But in any case, we showed this video. It's CNN, they're speaking about what fascism is, they're talking about history. Students then they talk about Mussolini, they talk about the World War. It was an amazing video. You should also see it. It's really good. And we did this, and then I put it together for them in a reading. has to be, I don't want to just send them online all the time. So I put the reading in a way that they could understand it. But that up there is a link to that video. So this are the 11th graders. They're heading towards fluency, they're heading towards AP. They need to find this on their own. They can go to that video and they can watch, and they can listen, and they can pause, and they can go back. And that's my challenge to them. Every day I have a reto, I have a challenge every day. This is my challenge to you. How much time are you going to give this? Are you going to rush through this because you got to get to your physics? It's a choice. It's a choice. My own child did not foreign language to become a physicist. Okay, it's a choice. But many of them did watch, did listen, did read the article, because ultimately we have students who do want to become fluent in the language. So we have to differentiate to make sure that we give them that opportunity as well as the kids who were trying to just pull along. So this was our lesson in our current events lesson in our 11th grade. Questions followed. These questions are not just from that reading. These questions are questions that I call them self-discovery. Go find out. Be curious. Go find out. Who is the Lopez? He was never mentioned in the video or in the video. Who is he? What's happening to him? Go find out who he discovered is. And students came back, and they could do them all. I give a lot of choice. Choice is a wonderful thing. When students feel they have control, they'll work better. So I gave them choice. Pick out a few of them. You're definitely going to speak to the class. There's no choice in that. You're speaking to the class. Which one are you going to really know? Which one are you going to be able to discuss with us? And different students chose different things. And I do tell students that they have to speak to their groups. I make sure that